Hey everyone! So today I'm going to do a review for Donna Michelle nail polish. And you may be thinking, Donna Michelle, what the heck is that? Well, I was at Dollar Tree one day recently, and they had a bunch of different brands of nail polish. Now, I've seen this there before and thought, yeah, whatever, never heard of it, never seen it before, and so I never picked it up or tried it. Actually, they have all different things of this brand at Dollar Tree. They have foundations and concealers, and it looks like the full line of products is there. I was never really that curious about it, but so I was at Dollar Tree about, I don't know, a week ago, and they had a whole bunch of different brands of nail polish. Some I had heard of before, some I had not. So I bought 5 bottles. 2 were brands that I've bought before, and 3 were brands that I wasn't familiar with. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna pick all this stuff up, try it out, and review it for my channel. So today we're gonna start with the one that I tried first, and that is the Donna Michelle. Okay, so first thing that I noticed about this polish, oh, and here's what it looks like. First thing I noticed about this polish is there is no name or number of any kind on the bottle. So that's pretty disappointing because I like to have it have a name. I mean, you know, in the ultimate scheme of things, maybe it doesn't really matter, but it would have been nice if they could have taken the time to name it, or at least if they don't want to do that, give it a number, just so I can identify it in some way. But that being said, it's a pretty color. They had a whole bunch of colors to choose from, and this was the one that I picked out. Now see, the problem is now I have to try to describe this to you, and I don't know, I mean, this could be described so many different ways. I'm gonna say orchid or mauve or geez, I don't know. You come up with your own description if you want to, but I don't know. It's some kind of pinky purple mauvey type of color. So anyway, I started off when I used this with OPI Nail Envy. This is what I've been using as my base coat lately, so that's what I started with. And then I did 2 coats of the Donna Michelle nail polish, and then I finished up with Sally Hansen Insta-Dry top coat. And there's more than one formula of this. This is the one in the red bottle, and that's what I used for my top coat. Now the problem was that probably my worst quality as a human being is I have no patience. I'm always looking for shortcuts, always trying to do things the fastest way possible because I can't stand waiting for anything. And it's nice to know your own flaws, isn't it? But no, seriously, I have no patience for anything. So when I do my nails, usually what I do is I put on my OPI Nail Envy, and before it's even dry, I immediately start with the first coat of whatever I'm using for polish. And fortunately for me, this wasn't a problem. I was able to paint right over the semi-wet OPI Nail Envy. And I noticed right away that this is a very thin consistency on the Donna Michelle polish. I have no problem with that because if it's going to be either thin or thick, I would rather that it's thin because it's easier to apply. If I have to do a second coat, no biggie, because I normally do 2 coats of any nail polish anyway to get full opacity. So right away I noticed that it was thin, and by the time I got to nail number 10, because it was thin, the first coat was already dry. And I was like, great, you know, on nail number 1. So I immediately started applying my second coat, got to the end. Here's where I ran into a problem. I didn't wait for the second coat to Now, you know, I've got OPI Nail Envy and 2 coats of nail polish now. I immediately started in with my Sally Hansen Insta-Dry top coat because that's what I would normally do, and usually what happens is something about this top coat formula, any kind of fast dry top coat, will usually dry, plus it will dry everything underneath it. At least that's been my experience with this, and also with Seche Vite does the same thing, if you're familiar with Seche Vite top coat. But it didn't work out that way with this, and what it ended up doing was some of the nails were okay, but some of them seemed to, I don't know, it did something to the Donna Michelle polish. So what happened was I just went about my business. I didn't really look at it too much, and then about an hour later I looked at my nails and some of them were screwed up. Probably because they weren't completely dry. They didn't dry instantly. I just went about my daily business, and so I had to redo some of the nails, which, you know, you would think I would have learned the first time around, but instead I redid the nails that were screwed up. Same thing happened again. I looked down at my nails about an hour later and some of those were messed up. So I was like, oh, okay. So you have to wait for each coat of everything that you're doing to dry in order for it to look decent. So that's, you know, if you're gonna pick up this polish, that's my best advice. I should mention that everything at Dollar Tree, just in case, you know, you've never been to one before, Dollar Tree is a chain of stores across the United States where everything is $1. And for $1 you get 0.4 fluid ounces, which is, you know, pretty standard. The top on this reminds me of a couple other brands that I have seen before, so it's sort of a familiar handle on the top here. The brush is, I would say that is sort of a small-ish brush, kind of like the brush on the Essie polishes. That's what it most reminds me of. That's, you know, a brand that I'm pretty familiar with. So it reminds me of the Essie brush. It's fairly small, but I actually prefer a brush to be a little smaller. I feel like it's easier to put the polish on. I would rather go over, you know, the nail in certain places over and over again rather than have a big brush and then hit the edges of my skin. So I prefer the smaller brush, so I like that about it. And in terms of staying power, I painted my nails on, I think it was Sunday, and then I woke up this morning and the polish was chipped, and today is Thursday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it lasted 4 days. 4 days is about average for me. So my assessment of this polish is, if you give it a chance to dry like a normal person would, it goes on fine, and any errors or mistakes that were made in the way the polish looked was totally my fault, not the fault of the polish. It's just I don't have patience. So yeah, for $1, and it comes in lots of nice colors, I would definitely repurchase this again. And yeah, so I would recommend this. I mean, it's $1, and it's 4 days is about average for me for a manicure. So it performed as well as most of the polishes in my collection. The color selection seemed to be pretty good. They had a ton of colors when I saw it there, and they usually always have this brand at Dollar Tree, so availability is not an issue either. You should be able to always get it at Dollar Tree. So that is it, you guys, and I would say thumbs up on the Donna Michelle nail polish. I would recommend it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.